So what's the difference between Camembert and Brie? I get asked this question a lot actually, and fair enough because they are pretty similar here in Australia. But if you were to go to France and ask the same question, they'll probably think you're a bit of an idiot because they're so different. They come from different regions, they come different traditions, different cows, different feed. All this thing makes a difference to the type of the cheese. And I talked a bit last week about the tradition and how Camembert's only been around a few hundred years. Brie's been around for about 1600 years. And Brie is about 1 or 2 kilograms in size. Camembert, only 200 or so grams. Brie, more sort of browny, yellowy, kind of orangey colours, bit stinky. Camembert, a bit more aromatic, smaller, white, fluffy. So the French, they have these long traditions and they're regulated traditions on their recipes. We don't have that here in Australia, and I can probably speak for other Western countries like America, New Zealand, Britain as well. So here, it's a valid question. What is the difference between Camembert and Brie? And with all that in mind, I'll try and answer as best I can, but the truth is they're very similar, and it really depends on individual businesses, cheesemakers, and what their branding and marketing and what they want to call it. So when you do some cheese judging shows, they will actually judge them in together, as they call it, a white mold cheese category, and they're right in there together side by side, technically considered the same cheese. So what is the difference? Well, as a very broad generalization, I'm going to say Camembert in Australia will have more of a nutty, mushroomy, earthy kind of flavour, whereas a Brie might be a bit milder, more creamy and buttery. But as I said, that's a complete generalisation, and when people say, oh, I like Camembert but I don't like Brie, if they're Australian, that's a little bit amusing because really it depends on the individual cheese factory and what they want to do with their flavours. Alright, if you want to know more about Camembert and Brie, scroll back to episode 10 and 5 where I talked about the history of these cheeses. But until then, I'll see you next week with a bit more Can You Believe It with the Gouda Guy.